I mean, when I was making Love Hurts, I got so many bruises, aches, and pains. Yeah, very, very physically, very demanding, and also, I love those movies from Hong Kong in the '80s. Where they really went at it. I mean, where there was no camera tricks, and you can see it's them up there on screen doing it, and that's what we wanted. We wanted to make sure that the audience feel that there are a lot of stakes, and it was tough. But it was also a lot of fun to make. Well, before I became an action choreographer, after Indiana Jones, I love what I was learning on set. They had a time quantum instructor to teach me to do those moves specifically for that finale. So when I came back to the States, my brother and I enrolled ourselves in martial arts school. And I trained for many years, and after I got a black belt, I wanted to show the world what I can do. But of course, back then, they were not interested in someone that looks like me to be an action hero. So I thought all those skills that I acquired, I had no use for them until I graduated from film school, and I started working behind the camera, and those skills really came in handy, and I gained even more knowledge. Not only, as a martial artist, but also how to use my skills and be creative in choreographing those scenes. So when we were doing this, all those knowledge came in handy. And of course, 87 North really knows how to make a good action movie. And we have an incredible creative team designing these fights so that they look epic. Well, first of all, when she, announced my name with so much emotion, that made a big impact on me. And we would see each other at various events, and I would always go up to her and give her a big hug and say, "Ari, I would love to do a movie with you." So when this script came, and we were thinking about who can play Rose, and when her name was brought up, I immediately jumped up with joy, and I said, "Yes! That's a great idea, and please do whatever you can to make her say yes." And luckily she said yes, and here we are in this, wonderful action-packed Valentine's movie. Yeah, the kitchen fight is one of my favorite fights in the movie, and there is a shot where Marshawn and Andre, who plays King and Otis, grabs me and slams me onto the counter. And our team was very productive, so, they would put this thick pad on me. But it was really bulky, and it was just, sticking out of my wardrobe, and it didn't feel right. So I just ripped it out, and I said, "Don't worry about it, I'll just do it." And we would do it over and over and over again with all the different coverage. And I felt, in the beginning, I just felt a little, pain here, but, that comes with, the territory when you're doing these fights. And I didn't know until the next day when I was changing, and my wife was standing by the door, and she had tears in her eyes. And she said, "Honey, are you okay?" And I said, "Yeah, why?" And I looked in the mirror, and my entire chest was just black and blue. It was just covered with bruises. But again, honestly, it's I come from a school where, in order to make a fight look real, having just some aches and pains is normal. But as long as the audience appreciate, what we're trying to do, then everything is worth it.
I don't know. I wish I knew. I think we got here by taking some big risks. If I'm honest, I constantly just try to surprise myself with the projects I take on. I never really know what's going to speak to me until it does. But this one was such a pleasant surprise, not only because I got to work with someone I really admire, Ke Huy Quan, but simply because it was a character I never really thought I would play, but I thought I could be really well suited for. And she was a wonderful playground, if I do say so myself. Well, I think Rose is... I think she's the woman, which many of us can relate at this moment in time, that literally woke up one day and was like, "Absolutely not, I'm flipping a table." And then she said, "Happy Valentine's, hiding ain't living. And also, this is for you.
Oh.
I love your work."
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. But like that's who she is. And she's smart enough to know she's not always the smartest person in the room, but she knows how to observe. And when people show them who they are, or wow, English. When someone shows you who they are, you should believe them, and she knows that to be a fact. And she just goes, she follows. I think we have to sort of like let that lead us at times. She's an example of that. And she's also surprisingly skilled. You never know what you're gonna get with her. But again, ain't that a woman? Oh, he's wonderful. He is literally everything you think that he is. He is sunshine. He's the most supportive. He honestly felt very protective of me at times, which I was very grateful for, and I hope that I was able to reciprocate that. I think partnership in movies like this is the thing that really like makes it tick and makes it work. And I felt that we really had that, which is nice because you don't always get that. So well, it's paramount. I think it's paramount. And as much progress as we have seen over the years, I think we have entered a time where, given the state of the world, as an industry, we now have to stand up and put our money where our mouth is. And I'm very grateful for a film like this because you do have two leads of color. And we stand side by side, and we lead this film. And we should reflect the times that we live in, and it's not all one color. We are diverse for a reason. It's what actually makes America great. And I think the more that we can, as an entertainment industry, be that, if you ask it of a society, you have to be willing to reflect it. And that's the moment we're in. And I'm really hopeful that we as an industry are prepared to do that. Granted, I can only speak for myself, but that is my hope.
Of course, I mean, there's a very conscious effort to make each fight different and film them different because all the fights depended on what reflected the emotional state of Marvin at that time in the script, right? So in the beginning, it's very elusive and playful, right? And then it's like I said, as the movie progresses, it gets a little bit more visceral and gritty. So by the end, it's more in handheld mode. It's like reflecting his state of chaos in his head. So there's a very conscious effort to show the change in his emotional state through each fight. So she comes in, the colors introduced back in the world, and then we go into like the blues and greens, like, you know, signifying the corruption, the world he came from, right? So you start out in yellows and oranges in the beginning, kind of like idyllic setting, right? And so you don't know what's happening. And then as soon as his world changes, the color kind of pops back in. Yeah, I mean, you know, 87 North, like David Leitch and Kelly McCormick are big proponents, like pushing for an Oscar category for stunts. And I think it's a great thing because I feel a lot of stunt people, like, are you seeing now, they're, instead of just being servicing what's ever written on the page, they do contribute a lot to the actual overall story of the script. And, you know, in a sense, they're filmmakers also. And I think it's always nice to be recognized for their work. Oh, I mean, I couldn't have asked for a more supportive group of people to be behind me. I mean, especially too, for my first movie directorial debut, I have like 2 Oscar winners, you know, in my movie. I mean, that's a big deal, and it's very exciting. But at the same time, I was like, I was so nervous about it. But they made me feel very supportive, and they're very collaborative. So I said I couldn't have asked for a better set of people supporting me.